This year marked the 5th year for Anime Crossroads, and starting this year, they moved to a new hotel, the Windham or something, in the west side of Indianapolis. First of all, as someone who's been to Anime Crossroads for the past 3 years, I was really worried about the hotel change because the old hotel was just really inviting, and though it was small, it just made you feel at home, and it really gave a nice atmosphere to the con. I've heard a lot of different people's opinions on the new hotel, but in my opinion, I really liked it. I felt like it was a step up. It still had the same atmosphere as the old hotel, with the same sort of color scheme and the same Christmas scheme going on as every year at Crossroads, but it was bigger, and it started to expand on things. There were a couple little problems with the hotel, like I think 1 or 2 panel rooms were really small for no reason. But for the most part, I believe the hotel was an improvement. Like I said, the old hotel had a really cool atmosphere to it, and this year at this hotel definitely kept the same atmosphere. It's just really relaxed and is a type of con where you go to hang out with people and be really social. It's definitely a social con. It's not as much about the panels, because there's just not a lot of big panels going on, and you'll meet a ton of friends at Anime Crossroads. This is one of those cons where you go home and you get on Facebook and you've got like 50 friend requests just from this one weekend. One of the things I've always loved about Anime Crossroads ever since I first started going was the dealer's room. There's just something about Anime Crossroads dealer's room. The people they get in, the stuff they sell, it's just really good. They sell a lot of variety, and I feel like there's always been something there for everyone. I was worried that with this new hotel, they may change the dealer's room up, but they didn't. It's still the same people plus some more, and the dealer's room is great. The same thing goes for Artist Alley. They've got some awesome artists who were there at least this year, who were selling some things that just anyone could like. I really like it because a lot of other small cons, they don't have dealer's rooms this good. This is the best dealer's room I have seen for a small con. You know, where the dealer's room isn't the entire convention center, because obviously it doesn't match up to that. But for a small con, I would say an amazing dealer's room. I also love how opening ceremonies has always been handled by A-Cross. At a lot of cons, you sit through opening ceremonies, it's pretty boring, they've got tons of people coming up, they're talking a lot. A-Cross just gets it in and gets you out. You go in, you start the weekend off with this amazing music video, which I'll post in the link for this year in the description. And they've done that every year that I've been there, at least, where you go in and before they say anything, they just dim the lights and this crazy awesome music video comes on. Everybody is screaming and cheering for their favorite animes as they go through the list of anime in this music video. It's just a really fun time. And then after that, you have the people who direct the con get up there and they name off the list of guests. They have the guests come up, say hi for just a minute, and then they get off stage. In 20 minutes, opening ceremonies is done, and you can go do whatever you want. Other cons, at least some other cons, it doesn't happen like that, and I really like the way it's handled at Anime Crossroads. There were, of course, a couple issues that need to be talked about. First one that I noticed when I got there was that even though there's a bigger hotel and they've got more space to do things with, they cut the game room. Like the free-to-play, have TV set up, go in, or go and play cards, whatever, tabletop. Doesn't matter. They cut both game rooms. The game rooms were just gone. They did, however, have a couple arcade games, not as many as they'd had previous years, set up outside the dealer's room, which personally wasn't a very good spot because it caused a lot of congestion. Also, right next to both of those was an area that I guess it was the hotel that set it up. I'm really not sure. That they were selling food, which was honestly a good idea because people get hungry at cons. But with all that in one little itty bitty area, it got very congested very fast, and it was just kind of an issue. I would really love to see the game room come back next year and maybe get some more arcade games in there, and if they do, move it to another area so people can get in that dealer's room a lot easier. All in all, the way this con was ran this year was just pretty unorganized, especially compared to some last years. I think the reason why is because they were in a new hotel. Whenever you switch venues, you've kind of got to get used to it, you know, and there's a lot to put together for these guys, but it did end up being a lot stacking up in the unorganization category. First of all, there were a lot of panel problems, such as panels not being ready on time, and some panels just getting cut completely. Like, I know the Maid Cafe got cut as soon as they got there. They had set it in the opening ceremonies, along with a couple others I just don't remember. And then a lot of the panels started late, There were also problems with the rave or electronic dance party. Both of them where just the first nights wasn't as bad, but the second nights, the first DJ killed it. It was awesome. The second DJ came on, and I don't know whose fault it is, honestly, but there were some problems with the mix, and it kept cutting out, and then the music just, people started to fall off, and they left. It didn't match up to previous years' raves or electronic dance parties. I don't know who was behind the rave. I mean, it was good, you know, while it was going, but when things started to mess up, people left quick. I know I came back an hour later because I'd left. I wanted to check out, see how it was going. We walked in, there were only maybe 7 people there. The rave had only been going for 2 hours. And you know that's not a good thing when there's only 7 people left after 2 hours. So, I don't know, maybe something to think about. Another thing that I'd heard a lot of people complaining about, and I also had a problem with myself on the first day, were the badges that they were giving out. Not everyone had a problem with this, and it wasn't a game killer, it wasn't a con killing problem, but the safety pins that they had on the badges, they just did not stick well. They came undone. Easy. And they'd fall off and get lost, and then if you want another badge, even if you can prove that you bought the badge, which I still kind of understand this because they don't want people giving each other their confirmations, you know, and getting each other badges. But still, if you can prove you've got the badge, you still have to pay $35 to get a whole nother badge, which I think is a little bit ridiculous since you have to pay $2 or $3, something like that anyway, just to get a lanyard to begin with, so that you don't have to worry about your safety pin coming off. At the end of the day, for some people it just added up to being a lot of money. I know we had 3 people in our group whose badges just popped off, and I asked online to see if anyone else had this problem, and I know quite a few people did, though it wasn't the majority. It still is something that I think should be looked at for next year. Just try and get a little sturdier badges. Even if you're going to still charge for lanyards, just find a way to get that badge to stay on. I never had a problem with this in previous Crossroads. This was the first Crossroads I've seen this issue happen. One small saving grace was the Ask an Anime character, which Anime Crossroads has done ever since I started going, and I really like that panel. I know a couple other cons do it, but none of them that I have been to personally. I'm waiting to see another one that does it, because I know they do. But Anime Crossroads does it, and it definitely saves the panel side, because it's just a really, really funny panel. Everybody gets into it. The voice actors seem like they even really get into it. Everyone has a good time. I give Location a 10 out of 10. Though some people probably disagree with me, and though I probably would have been laughing in my face before I actually went, because I thought this was a mistake, after being there, I think it is a step up. I just think they need to learn how to use the location a little bit more to their advantage before next year. But at the end of the day, I think the hotel is a step up along with all the hotels around it. There's plenty of room for more people to come into this con. I give the dealer's room a 10 out of 10. Obviously, it's not the best dealer's room in the world, but compared to other small cons, I think it is the best dealer's room, just not compared to larger cons. If you're looking for a small con that has an amazing dealer's room that's going to take all your money in one day, Crossroads has that dealer's room. I give Organization a 7 out of 10. I said earlier that it was pretty unorganized, but it's not like everything was just falling apart. It wasn't something that killed the con. The con was still a great time. So maybe just try and get things a little more organized next year. Try and get some panels started at the right time and move things around. Try and be a little more organized about everything. I give the staff an 8.5 out of 10. They were good. I didn't have any real issues with them. I mean, I barely even saw them the whole weekend. That's why I lowered the score, is because you need to have a little bit of control over people. Make sure people know where you are. I wasn't even sure where some staff members were. I know we asked one lady who we thought was a staff member where something was, and she's like, I'm not even staff. We couldn't tell the difference between staff and regular congoers without running up and grabbing their badge and looking at it. But I did like the staff. I thought that the ones I did meet were nice, and the con went really smooth as far as anything the staff would have to do with. So, I mean, I'm kind of split on it. That's why it got not a perfect score. Panels get a 7.5 out of 10 because it goes back to the organization a little bit. They weren't very organized, but the ones that were even weren't that great. There weren't very many awesome panels. Yeah, the voice actor panels were cool, and the Ask an Anime character was really cool. Also, their cosplay contest was cool, but those are the ones you expect to be really good. Nothing else was really popping off the page that made anyone want to just rush out and go to that panel, and nothing else really was as good as those panels. Those are the ones that saved it for sure. Opening ceremonies is a panel too, I guess, and that was good. I like the opening ceremonies. At the end of the day, Anime Crossroads is a really fun con. It's a little bit smaller, but they had a new hotel this year and made it a tiny bit bigger. It's a social con. It's a lot about going and meeting other people, showing your cosplay off, and making friends. It's not as much about going to panels, though there are a couple that will attract you and that you should go to. The dealer's room is awesome. You'll buy a lot of stuff. It was a bit disorganized, but they can fix it next year, hopefully. So, at the end of the day, I have to give Anime Crossroads 2013 a big 8 out of 10. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what I'm doing, please hit the subscribe button to see new videos having to do with gaming, anime, cosplay, and anime conventions every Sunday.